Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into something today pretty important, I think, legacy planning and how to use a gold IRA to maybe secure your grandkids' education, make a real impact on their future. And if you're a retiree listening with a good amount saved up, let's say upwards of $100,000, maybe even $5 million in an IRA or 401k, or just savings. We've got a great free resource for you, a gold IRA checklist that you can find in the description. It'll walk you through setting one up. It's super easy.
Yeah, it's funny how many people plan for their own retirement, but they don't really think about how their wealth can impact, future generations.
Yeah.
A gold IRA can actually be a really powerful tool for both, especially these days.
Okay, so for those of us who are more familiar with just traditional IRAs and 401ks, can you break down what a gold IRA is and how it works?
Yeah. Sure. So a gold IRA is basically a self-directed retirement account that lets you invest in physical gold, like bullion or coins, instead of the usual stocks and bonds. And the cool thing is it keeps those tax benefits you get with a regular IRA. So your investments grow tax deferred until you take them out in retirement, which is typically after age 59 and a half. It's pretty simple. You work with a special custodian to set it up, you pick out the metals you want, and then they're stored safely in an IRS-approved depository.
Got it. But why gold in particular? I mean, we hear a lot about diversifying your portfolio, but what makes gold so special for retirement and legacy planning?
That's where it gets really interesting. Gold has this really long history of holding its value even when paper currencies are all over the place. It's something real you can hold with inherent worth, and that can be super comforting when the economy is uncertain or inflation is high. Think back to the 70s with all that stagflation. Gold prices went through the roof while the stock market was really suffering.
So it's almost like an insurance policy against things like market volatility and inflation.
Exactly, and that stability is what makes gold so attractive for legacy planning. You're not just protecting your wealth, you're potentially growing it in a way that's shielded from some of the risks that come with traditional investments, which can be a huge benefit when you're thinking about something like paying for your grandkids' education.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Are there any downsides or risks with gold IRAs, though? I mean, nothing's perfect, right?
Yes, you're right. No investment is totally risk-free. And just like any market, there are some bad apples out there. You'll find companies that try to sell overpriced gold or make promises about crazy returns. That's why working with a reputable provider who's honest about their fees and has a good track record is absolutely crucial.
That's a really good point. How do you even find a trustworthy gold IRA provider? It seems like a pretty specialized area.
It is, and doing your research is super important. Look for providers who've been around for a while, have good customer reviews, and their pricing is transparent. Don't be afraid to ask some tough questions about their storage options, insurance policies, and any fees. And remember that free Gold IRA checklist we talked about? There's actually a whole section in there about picking the right provider and what questions to ask.
Right. That checklist is linked below for anyone who wants to learn more. It's specifically made for those of you with substantial savings, like I mentioned before, $100,000 or more, even up to $5 million in your retirement accounts.
It's a really useful tool to get started on the right track. So getting back to those potential benefits, let's imagine how a gold IRA could actually play out in helping you with your grandkids' education. Let's say you put some of your retirement savings into a gold IRA, and over time, gold goes up in value significantly.
Okay, I'm following. So then what happens?
Well, when your grandchild is ready for college, you can use that money to help with tuition living expenses, even those crazy expensive textbooks. It's about giving them a strong financial base, helping them avoid student loan debt, and giving them a real advantage in life.
I see what you mean. But wouldn't taking distributions from a gold IRA mean you have to pay taxes, just like with a traditional IRA?
You're right, the distributions would be taxed as ordinary income in the year you take them. But if the money's used for qualified educational expenses, there are ways to potentially lessen the tax burden.
That's good to know. So it seems like there's a lot to consider, both financially and tax-wise, when you're using a gold IRA for legacy planning.
Definitely. And that's why working with a good financial advisor who understands gold IRAs and estate planning can be incredibly helpful.
All right, so we've covered picking a provider, the potential benefits, and even touched on taxes. What about the actual process of setting up a gold IRA? Is it complicated?
Honestly, it's more straightforward than you might think, especially if you have a good provider. The first step is to choose a custodian. They're the ones who handle all the administrative stuff. Then you get to pick the specific gold you want to invest in.
So it's not as easy as just buying any gold bar or coin.
Not exactly. The IRS has specific rules about the type of gold that can be in a gold IRA. Like it has to meet certain purity standards.
That makes sense. I guess there have to be some rules to make sure the investment is high quality and valuable.
Exactly. Once you've picked out your gold, it's taken to a secure IRS-approved depository for storage. And your provider will help you manage the account and make sure everything's following IRS rules.
Yeah, it really does make things easier. And speaking of keeping things simple, let's talk about that free gold IRA checklist again. The one we mentioned earlier. It's designed specifically for folks like you, wealthy American retirees, whether you have $100,000 or $5 million tucked away. You can find the link down in the description. It walks you through the whole process from understanding the basics to picking a provider. And there's even a handy FAQ section that covers some common questions.
That sounds super helpful,
Mhm.
especially for people who might be feeling a little overwhelmed by the whole thing. So we've talked a lot about like the nuts and bolts of a gold IRA. But I want to go back to that emotional side of legacy planning,
Yeah.
especially when we're talking about something as personal as your grandkids' education. What kind of impact do you think this kind of financial support can have on their lives? It's more than just money, really. It's about giving them a sense of security, knowing they've got the resources to chase their passions and reach their goals without being weighed down by debt. Think about the doors it opens for them. They can pick a college that really fits them, maybe explore internships or study abroad programs, or even start their own businesses without that pressure of having to pay back loans right away.
It's like giving them the gift of freedom, right? The freedom to choose their own path without money holding them back.
That's it. And it goes deeper than just the practical stuff. It shows your grandkids that you believe in them, that you're invested in their future and you want to see them succeed. It creates this feeling of connection and gratitude that can make family bonds stronger for generations.
That's a really powerful point. It's about leaving a legacy of love and support that's not just about the money. Have you come across any stories or case studies where a gold IRA made a real difference in someone's legacy planning?
Absolutely. I've seen firsthand how positive it can be. One story that comes to mind is about a guy named Mike. A retired engineer, Mike was always good with money, but he was worried about how expensive education was getting and what that might mean for his grandkids' future. So he took some of his retirement savings and put it into a gold IRA specifically to help pay for their college.
So basically, he created an education fund backed by gold.
Exactly. He knew that gold has historically held its value really well during times of inflation, so he felt confident his investment would grow, and it did. When his oldest grandchild was ready for college, Mike was able to use money from his gold IRA to cover a good chunk of her tuition and expenses. She graduated debt-free and went on to pursue her dream career without that financial stress.
Wow, that's amazing. It really shows how powerful a gold IRA can be. It's not just some theory, it's a real solution that can make a real difference.
It just shows what planning and thinking ahead can do. And for Mike, it wasn't just about the financial help. It was about the peace of mind knowing he could give that level of support to his grandkids. That was a legacy he was proud of.
I bet it also taught his grandkids a lot about responsibility and the importance of being smart with their money.
It did. It started these conversations within the family about long-term financial goals and investing wisely. It became a legacy that went beyond just the money and actually shaped how they thought about and managed their own finances.
So it sounds like a gold IRA can be more than just an investment. It can be a way to start meaningful conversations with your family and pass down some important values.
Definitely. It can be a great way to connect with your loved ones, talk about your financial goals, and make sure that the wealth you've worked so hard for is used to make a positive impact that lasts.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface of gold IRAs and legacy planning. For anyone listening who's ready to learn more, I want to mention that free Gold IRA checklist again. It's a fantastic resource, and it's made just for wealthy American retirees with a good amount saved up in their IRAs, 401ks, or other accounts. You can find the link in the description.
It's a great place to start gathering information, figuring out what's important, and seeing if a gold IRA fits into your overall goals for your legacy.
Now, before we wrap things up, I'm curious, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking about a gold IRA as part of their legacy plan, but maybe they're feeling a bit hesitant or unsure about how to get started?
That's a really good question, and a lot of people feel that way. Honestly, I'd say start by learning as much as you can. Don't just rely on what you hear from friends or family. Read articles from trustworthy sources. Talk to financial advisors who really know gold IRAs and use resources like that checklist we talked about. The more you know, the more confident you'll feel making a decision that's right for you and your family.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to money. And don't be afraid to ask questions. There are experts out there who can help you through the process and address any worries you have.
Exactly. And remember, legacy planning isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It's about coming up with a plan that matches your values, your goals, and your family's unique situation. A gold IRA can be a really helpful part of that plan, but it's important to look at it as part of your overall financial picture.
So it's about taking a step back, looking at the big picture, weighing the good and bad, and making a smart choice that feels right for you.
Yeah, it really is. And it's never too early to start thinking about your legacy. Even if your grandkids are still young, setting up a plan now gives your investments more time to grow and, really make that impact you're hoping for.
That's true. We always think of legacy planning as something we do later on. But it does make sense to start early, especially with the potential for those returns to compound over time.
Exactly. And it's not all about the money either. Starting early means you can involve your family in the conversation, you can share your values, and create a shared purpose around your legacy goals.
So it becomes more than just a financial strategy. It's a way to connect with your loved ones and create a legacy of family values and goals that you all share.
Right. And that brings us back to what we've been talking about, that emotional side of legacy planning.
Hmm.
It's about leaving your mark on the world, making a difference in the lives of the people you love, and making sure that your values and what you've contributed are carried on by the next generation.
It's about creating something that goes beyond just financial security. It's about inspiring your grandkids to follow their dreams, to contribute to the society, and maybe even continue building on the legacy you started.
I like that. It's like planting a seed that grows into a big, strong oak tree, providing shade and shelter for generations to come.
I love that analogy. It really gets to the heart of what we're talking about. So as we wrap up our deep dive today, I want to mention that free Gold IRA checklist one last time. For those of you who are ready to learn more about this, you can find the link in the description. It's made specifically for wealthy American retirees like yourselves, whether you have $100,000 or $5 million saved up. It takes you through every step of the process and makes it easy to understand.
It's really helpful and can save you a lot of time and headaches. It gives you the confidence to make those important decisions about your financial future and the legacy you want to leave.
And remember, even if a gold IRA isn't the right choice for you, the things we've talked about today, planning for the future, diversifying your investments, thinking about the legacy you want to create, those are important for everyone, no matter what your financial situation looks like.
That's so important. Legacy planning isn't just for the wealthy. It's for anyone who wants to make sure their hard-earned money is used wisely and makes a positive impact.
So as we finish up today, I encourage all of you to think about the legacy you want to leave behind. What values do you want to pass on to your family? What impact do you want to make on the world?
And what can you do today to start building that legacy? It's a journey worth taking, and we're here to help you along the way.
Thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of gold IRAs and legacy planning. We'll see you next time. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep building a future